Hey guys, thought I'd give you a bit of an update on what's been happening with main project, the TF Cortina. Just been doing little bits and pieces after work and during the weekends and that. Nothing overly exciting, but extremely difficult. I'll just show you what's been going on. Okay, so one of the first few mods I did early on at the start of this project was to remove the center channel speaker that Ford brought out from factory on the dash there. So I removed that and I actually made a cutout and a filler piece, as you can see, for a third windscreen vent. Now, don't worry about the spacing on the little vents and louvers at the moment because they're not sitting quite in place. But the problem I've got at the moment that I didn't realize is that they come a left and a right. So I've only got a spare left at the moment. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't have another spare vent, but that's what I need to get hold of, and I need to create a whole new shape for a center one. So I might try cutting and plastic welding them together and see how that goes, but I need to make one of these also. So these little sort of air directors, see, they're a completely different shape as well. As you can see, the angle from one side to the other is completely different and sort of suits only one side. So I'm going to see if a mate of mine can 3D print one of these for me, and I'm going to get my other good mate to design it. So one will do the programming and one will do the printing, but we'll see how that goes. So I've just been mucking around with that. Now, to get that to work, I could have just left it and let these two do all the work and just made it look like as if it was something that Ford brought out. But I thought, look, I've done the mod, I might as well make it work. But in making that work was a whole new ballgame. Okay, so here you can see the standard Ford vent, or whatever you would want to call that, which actually directs air. So that comes out, hang on, let me just move this center console out of the way. Okay, so that comes from the air divider down there. So that piece there divides air, which would divide air to the screen, then to your face and to the floor. Now, to get the third vent, which is back here, to get that to work, to use a spare one of these. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see that, but see, I'll just zoom in, that part there, I guess, is another one of these vents, which I've cut and had to modify and create another little outlet to it, which I made out of aluminium, just welded up a couple of rings and plates, and then it goes into, let's see if I can capture it. Okay, so it's that piece back there that you can see. So that's another outlet, and it goes down with the hose, connects into that one. Alright, then I've got the centers. So the center face vents, I had to create another aluminium piece for those, just to angle them to divide each other, because otherwise they would hit that third vent, windscreen vent that I've created. So they all come down with the hoses and they come down into the unit there. Now with the unit I've also made, as you can see, I've blocked off the feet vents, and now they come out through these hoses into your face. And these silver pipes or hoses that you can see there, they will feed hot air from the little electric heater that I bought, which I'll show you in a minute. But as you can see, having to route everything is extremely tight and difficult to get everything to work. But I thought, if I've done the mod, I want it to work. So now it should do the trick, with pipes feeding other pipes and so on and so forth. And so this here is the little heater unit. It's a twin outlet. It just heats at the moment. It's got twin fans, and I've just screwed it into the base here of the console. Little bit of trimming here and there. Not that switch is going to stay, but I had to trim it just to make sure that it all fit. That area doesn't get used in the Cortina anyway, so I could cut away little bits and pieces here and there. But it fits neatly into the back of the console, and that'll feed air into those. So they just sort of sit in place with a couple of worm drive clamps, and that's it. So what I've got to do now is wire up the switch to the actual original Cortina fan switch, which is that there. Somehow I'll work all that out later, so that I can have just air and then heated air as well, and at different speeds. That'd be great. So I've got to try and work that out later. But the hardest part was getting all these vents to line up, be able to divide. So the cable's not connected at the moment, but it'll still do this. So it'll still go windscreen, face, and now both. Whereas before it was, I think, screen, floor, and off, and face was these vents that you'd pull out from the bottom of the dash. So obviously these two side vents don't work anymore because of the no fresh air coming out through the cowl. They do get some sort of air going through the engine bay anyway, but I can still divide air, which is good, which is something that I wanted to still have. All the bolts and screws have been riv nutted, so there's no more self tappers going into metal. They're all going into threads, so it's all nice and neat. And yeah, quite a bit of work. It took me weeks and weeks to get it all done, especially all the outlets. All those edge coloured outlets will then be painted flat black, but I had to create them. So metal pipe and aluminium, that's all made out of aluminium and welded together. Lots and lots of work. So yeah, as I was saying, all those little vents and outlets all had to be created. So sheet metal shaped to that, to that divider, and pipe welded onto that sheet metal so you could connect some sort of a hose to it and then clamp it. There was nothing that was made in that way. Everything either had that solid molded type vent which goes to the screen vents, or they had the hose. The hoses were actually only used for the air conditioning models, as far as I understand. So those vents that were all molded out of plastic were non-aircon models, and then the aircon models had the hoses that would come from another completely different unit and feed cold air to your face and all sorts of stuff. So creating outlets and little like junctions or connections, I don't know what you would want to call them, for all the hoses was a complete pain, but that's what you got to do. If you want it to work, that's what you got to do. So did all that. Now it's all done at least and out of the way. Like I said, all the electrical side of it hasn't been done yet because it's just all little switches, and I'm not going to do any electrical work until I start doing more electrical stuff in the interior, like the dash and other stuff, because I've got to see what I've got to get rid of now and what I'm going to use. So I'll do all that later, but the actual fabrication side of things is all being completed. Now the other thing that I've done is this. So this here is a TF grill, and a keen eye will notice that there's no more badge. So what I've done, I cut some of these slots or whatever pieces from a spare one that I had, and cut them all neatly out, cut all the badge out neatly, cut the shape of these out, and then plastic welded them. Because I'm in the business of plastic welding now and I know how to do it, I thought I'd give it a go. And this being ABS, it's a little bit of a pain, but I ended up getting it done. It's all nice and smooth, just needs a little bit of filler work and then painting, but I wanted to do that to try and create a wider look for the car so that nothing catches your eye when you look at the front of the car. So what it'll do now, hopefully, is create
make the car look lower and wider from the front. So you'll see this big open sort of area instead of the badge sort of catching your eye. So that's another mod that I've done. That's all done. All I've got to do is, being an aftermarket grille, I've got to cut a little slot here, or just sort of wear it out a little bit, just for the bonnet catch. It's already got this piece, which the original one never had, which I quite like. That's just to put your hand in. So that's all nice and neat. It's not bolted in at the moment, obviously, it's just sort of sitting there. But did that as well. Another thing that I'll be working on soon is, see here, I got myself a TD 6-cylinder bonnet bulge. Now somebody's already had done a little bit of a mod to it from the previous owner or whatever. They had a little like mesh there to allow air into the engine bay. I'll block that off obviously and make it all solid again. But I want to integrate that into the TF bonnet, which I've got one over here. As you can see down there, it's in excellent condition. So I want to integrate the bonnet bulge into that and see how that looks. I think I need to change the shape slightly, just because the angle of it is very straight. If you look from front to back, so this angle is sort of parallel, these two shapes here on the sides. So I need to see, because I think the TF bonnet narrows in at the front here, so it narrows in that way. So I'll have to either narrow it in or widen the rear. So I'll have to slice it and angle it out. But I'll see once I get started on that. So that's one of the next things I'll be working on. And starting the body. So yeah, body work will be starting. I'll be starting on the roof, which is fairly heavily damaged. I don't know what's happened to it, but it's got a couple of dents down the sides of it here, as if someone's bang or put something on the roof or whatever. I don't know what's happened there. So on both sides, just random places here and there. So I'll get an easy beat. I'll get them out. Start panel beating the roof, make sure that that's all straight. Then work on the front apron, which is pretty bashed up as well, as they all are on the Cortinas. But yeah, finally up to body work. It's going to be fun, but it's got to be done. What can you do? And I'm pedantic, so it has to be 100%. Anyway, so that's the latest update. Hope you enjoyed that. Catch you next time.